What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy CJ3, the gym slasher, back at it again. Could have been anywhere in the world. You chose to be here with me, and I appreciate that. With that being said, let's get right into it. Criticizing and hate with Cam Newton, Jalen Hurd, the sports world. Cam Newton set the world ablaze with his opinion and his take on it. And if his goal was to spark some conversation, I think he knocked that out the park, and I think it's worth the conversation, if you will. I don't have a problem with criticism and to criticize someone and feel that either they're not good or they need to improve, or there's some things in their game that needs to be polished or refined. I think pointing those things out is necessary for an athlete. The expectations of being criticized, you're an NFL quarterback, that comes with the job. I expect Jalen Hurd to accept that challenge. Not that he should prove things directly to Cam Newton, but overall, there are going to be, as you get through success and getting to that success, there are going to be people who are going to be a little bit more critical or to what you are in your success. They start splitting hairs. The way I look at that, if I'm Jalen Hurd, I'll take that in stride. If you want to be great at what you do, that comes with the territory of hearing people saying you can't do something. That should fuel you. All the greats, they can tell you stories of people criticizing them and being critical of them. Whatever great that you can look for in terms of your athletic prowess, or even out off the athletic spectrum, if you will. You can put it in tech. You could put it in Fortune 500 companies. You could put it in other successful men and women who were told they can't do this or they're not good enough, and yet they use that as fuel. They stay on the mission, they stay on the grind, and they come out on top, and they come back and revert to the first things they talk about is the people that were naysayers, that was critical of them, that was, pessimistic with their vision. That's part of it. And I expect Jalen Hurd to take that and run with it and be great and continue to strive and continue to be successful. He's a Super Bowl champion at the end of the day, no matter what any of us may see or feel. And rightfully so. To break that down, because since I'm on YouTube, not IG and all that, I could break a little bit more of some of this stuff down. And that's what I wanted to do with this. With Cam Newton, I don't have a problem with him being critical of Jalen Hurd. I have actually zero problem. But it's one of those things where I may not have a problem now, but I could have one later on. And I'm going to explain why. Cam Newton said, hey, I don't believe you are a top tier quarterback because, well, in various reasons, and I'm going to sum it up, but in various reasons, you got a really, on the offensive side of the ball, in the NFL and football, on the offense side of the ball, you have immense talent. Meaning that from the running back position in Saquon Barkley to the receiver positions, with the receiving core that he has, the tight end he has, the O-line, it's A's and B's all the way across the board, right? So Cam is looking at it from, if you got all this, how does your stats look like this throughout the regular season, right? How does your stats are this with all this you have? And as a result, I'm going to be more critical of you because I think that with what you have, your stats should be better based on what you got. Furthermore, he's saying I've seen quarterbacks with less over this past year or two in my assessment of quarterbacks, top 10. I've seen them with less, and no one knows their offensive personnel, and statistically, they're hitting every metric across the NFL quarterback stat line. So as a result, Cam is saying you're not performing at a level that I think you can perform based on the personnel that you have. That's where I'm criticizing on. That's why I'm not putting you as a top 10 quarterback, because you are underperforming, right? That's, and again, paraphrasing, but that's just kind of sum up where Cam is at. I don't have a problem with that, right? I may disagree with his assertion on that, but on a sports level perspective, he's not off. He's not out of his mind, and it's not a hater. And this is where it's going to lead me into where, in my opinion, where does hater comes in? When you criticizing, it's a fine line between being critical of someone and then being an outright hater. Let's use a hypothetical to explain this further. Let's say for this next season, for the next NFL season, Jalen Hurts balls completely out. Pause. And when I'm saying that, meaning he outperforms, he throws for 35 to 4,000 yards passing. He put up 35 to 40 touchdowns, passing touchdowns with 10 rushing touchdowns, 4 to 500 rushing yards, because he's mobile. He's a mobile quarterback. He's going to run, and the tush push and the whole thing that he does, or the 4th and 1, that quarterback sneak that just almost impossible to stop. But let's say he hits those statistical metrics. Whether he makes to the Super Bowl or not, Super Bowl, trying to win the Super Bowl is difficult. Back-to-back years is even more difficult. But let's say they get it to the NFC Championship. They lose on a game-winning field goal, blah, 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 whatever. But looking at his stats, he knocked every metric out and improved the areas which everyone said that he wasn't, in that level yet. Now we bring back Cam and say, Cam, look, he hit all those stops with Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, all the crew that's up in that top 10, Lamar Jackson, all them that's up in that top 10. Now what? Now, if Cam now goes, well, of course he was going to do that. Look at the personnel he had, and walk off and go, I'm not going to change my stance on him. Now he's got the personnel, so of course he's supposed to do that. He's got all the, that's what he was supposed to do. So I still don't think he's a top 10 quarterback. Now that begs the retort to that, and saying, I believe now you're now on hater level now, because the difference between being critical of someone and criticism of criticizing someone, and being a hater, being critical, you yield a time or a space to where you say, yes, I'm being critical of you, but if you show out or you improve on the things that I was pointing at that was maybe flawed or needed to be refined, and you actually exceed those expectations, meet them or exceed them, then I should at that point in time say, you know what? I salute that. He or she or whatever did what I didn't think that they would be able to do. They proved it. And you know what? I'll fall back. They are who they say they are, what they believe they were, and they are better than what they were. And I acknowledge that. That's criticism, and that's constructive criticism. Hater is, now you're going to move the field goal post, right? He improved. Well, of course. Well, look at this. Well, look at what he had here. Well, it was because of this. Well, if I had that, I could do this. Well, if they did that, anybody could have done that. Now, that's hater. You're going to hate, and you're going to figure out something to be critical of. You're going to keep moving it to where it fits your narrative, to be critical of, to now no longer be critical. You're just hating on them. You just don't like them. And for people that are haters and people that are on that level, that just come out and be like, look, man, I don't like them. And there's nothing that they can do that's going to change that in terms of their accolades, lack thereof, more thereof. Doesn't matter. I don't like them. I don't like their game. I don't like their style. So therefore, that's where I'm at. I would rather for you to be out that way, as opposed to saying, well, I'm just being critical and I'm just criticizing, and people are too soft about criticism. There's a clear, definitive difference between criticism and hate. And criticism is, you say, all right, yeah, I said that they weren't going to be that good. in this season or their play, and they have improved. And you know what? I'll take that all back, and I root for their success, and they're on their way. Or no, forget that. Nah. Well, they didn't do this. They should have done this. Or you're a hater. It's important, I think, for both sides in terms of as an athlete, you hearing that criticism. As a person that's critical of someone, yield that time to come back to him and say, hey, you know what? I was wrong and you were right. And you proved me wrong, and I salute that and wish nothing for the best. Do not go into that hater mode. Do not go into that hater stance. But if you as an athlete looking at this, or you on your journey in success as a non-athlete, you're going to have haters. There's nothing that you can do to get past them. You're going to have haters. So the name of the game is run your race, stay in your lane. So with that being said, I'm out. I appreciate you guys. I'll be back again. Peace.